Hello, my name is Ramez. I'm Egyptologist here in Egypt.
Yeah, I had a few questions for you that I would like for you to answer.
Sure, with pleasure.
How come there were no palaces for the pharaohs? Why can we find only tombs?
Because the ancient Egyptian culture, it was culture of life after death. Basically what happened that the ancient Egyptian kings have said, why should we care for a life that will last maximum for 6 years? We should care for a life that will last forever. So that's why all their interests, all their money, all their effort was put in dwellings of eternity. Do you remember when I've taken you to the Valley of the Kings?
Yes.
All the tombs that you've seen out there, these were not tombs, these were palaces for the kings. So once the king would ascend to power, he would never have a prestigious palace, but he would pay the laborers to dig a tomb for himself, as it would be the dwelling of eternity for himself.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And the pyramid builders who would build these tombs, how were they paid? I heard they were just slaves, but they were workers.
Oh, slaves, not true. This is only movies being slaves. Well, these were paid laborers. Like, remember, the pyramids that you've seen,
Yeah.
the people were paid food and drinks. At those days, there was no money. So at the time of building the pyramids, these people were paid fish and beer to drink. The largest gathering of fish bones that were ever discovered in Egypt were discovered by the pyramids area. American Egyptologist back in the 1990s, he discovered over 2 million fish bones. That was the fish that was offered to the people to eat. And the large vases of beer, traces of beer that was discovered there too. For those people were paid food instead of being paid in money, because money didn't exist at the time.
So all the workers were willing to work at the...
Because remember, you are honoring not just the king. The kings of those days were considered incarnation of the gods. So you're honoring the god and the king at the same time. So they were willing to work. Do you remember on the tour I told you there were 4 months of the year that it was flooding and
Yes.
the land was covered? That was considered a season of unemployment. So the laborers would be sitting doing nothing in their homes. So the kings offered them, instead of doing nothing in your home, come and work in my pyramid and I'll support you with food and cloth. So that was a way of solving the problem of unemployment really in ancient Egypt.
Yes, of course. That
Yeah.
would be great. And in the temples, the priests ran them. How do people become a priest? Could commoners become priests, or?
Well, since you're a young kid, your family would donate you as a priest. You'd be brought up in the priest. You'd be brought up in the temple. So, since you're a young kid, you would find your way to be a high priest. So, parents would donate members of their own kids to work in the priests. As priests in ancient Egypt.
And by what age would you be qualified?
As young as 7 years.
Wow.
As a young student. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You get your education in the temple, you be the priest when you grow.
And how many priests would there be per a regular temple?
A few hundreds, not much. The largest temple ever that have had so much priests was the Temple of Karnak. A papyrus dating back to the time of Ramesses III have said there's over 80,000 priests in the Temple of Karnak.
Well, why would they need so many priests? What
Because
would
they were
all
not
do?
just priests, they were administrators, some of them. They were farmers. So being a priest doesn't mean that you're a religious man. You can be administrators, physician, farmer, tax collector. So that was all under the control of the priests.
Wow.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just religious.
Yep. It was all of these temples were educational institutions as well as religious, medical institutions as well.
Wow.
Yeah, like the temple where I'm taking you later on today, it was a hospital, an ancient Egyptian sanatorium. Sanatorium is a Greek word for a hospital. So I'll be sharing you with us later on this tour.
Cool, they had hospitals back then?
Oh yeah,
How advanced would their medical be?
well that's very advanced. You know the first dentist in the world, he was Egyptian.
Oh,
Yeah, he lived in year 2,650 years BC.
that early?
That early. And the ancient Egyptians, I would tell you something, if ladies would not like to have babies, they've had a very advanced way of stopping having babies. A lady should eat an excrement of a crocodile mixed with sour milk. You drink it, you never have babies again. Yeah, that was a common practice in ancient Egypt. There's mummies that we found, not one or two, but many, with holes up on top there, for they have removed the brain tumors. They have known the tumors of the brain. I mean, like brain cancer.
And they were able to do this safely?
Well, there's a mummy that have proven, after studying the mummy, that the guy have lived for a couple of years after the operation was made for him. And not one or two, but hundreds of women, their breast was not found. I mean, like, we found stitches instead. And we think that that was an operation for breast cancer by removing the whole entire breast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, nice, huh?
Yeah. And the nilometer, that was for figuring out how much the taxes the people should pay. How did it work?
Well, the nilometer is the oldest known economical device in the world, and it worked simply. If the water is so high of the Nile flood, there would be so much water going into this economical device. You know, usually it's like, those are like huge shafts in the ground that they were linked with the River Nile. So if the Nile overflows, more water would go into the tunnels, and that would increase the water into this big shaft. So by this, they would know how high the water is, and automatically they would be levying taxes. High water means a loss of cultivation. The land is covered with water, with good silt. Low water means less cultivation, less silt, less prosperity, less taxes.
But isn't there the possibility that the flood is so strong it basically wipes out all the crops?
Then it is no taxes. So if the water was so high, which means too much destructive to the land, they would not charge taxes on that year.
And what if a pharaoh was doing a drought? How would he earn money to build a tomb? Or
They'd be offering for the gods more offerings, hoping that the mercy of the gods would bring them the prosperity. You know, we have a slab written in the Greco-Roman period, telling us a story of a pharaoh that there was 7 years of famine during his period of time, and nobody have saved him except giving all the offerings for Ra that have had mercy on his own people, bringing more Nile once more.
Thank you. And finally, what's your favorite site in all of Egypt, and why?
That's a good question. My favorite site in Egypt, I would say the pyramids. Every time I go, I feel like I've never seen before. It's beautiful. I mean, like the huge, immense structure with all of these millions of blocks out there. I think this is an amazing spot. So every time I go there, it's as if it's my first time out there. Comes after this, the Valley of the Kings. The stunning colors out there is amazing.
All the tombs.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure anytime.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.